Hi folks and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing something. Can you smell it? Yes, it's Christmas! Christmas Bakewells. Very simple, easy recipe. It's very much the same as doing the traditional Bakewell Slice, but today it's a Christmas Bakewell Slice. And if you like this type of content, please subscribe and please share, and don't forget to check out the description. That is where you're going to find your recipe and playlists to more recipes I've already made previously. Right, and in the first part of this video, we're going to be doing the pastry. And if you've been on my channel for a very, very long time, you'll know, if you've already know how to do the pastry, you'll skip that bit and move on to the next section. What do we need for our recipe? You want 226 grams of flour. Now you can be using cake flour or a very low grade bread flour, and 28 grams of water, 56 grams of sugar, 56 grams of white shortening, 56 grams of margarine. So the first things we want to do is put our Castor sugar in with our water and give that a good stir around so it's sort of dissolved. And now we're going to add our fat into our flour. And all we're going to do is crumb this in so it's all nice and fine. So it's best to have your fat at room temperature. Now a nice little well in the middle. Now we're going to add our liquid in with our sugar. And you make this into a bit of a dough. Well, that's your pastry made. Now this pastry fits the tray exactly. So our tray size is 20 by 30 centimeters. With the papers, just push it down into the bottom and hold it down and sort of get your fingers in and fold it so you make a line on all the edges. So now you can see where you got to roll out to. Bit of flour, put your pastry in, push it down. Now you want to roll it out to those lines. And should be about right. If you've got some clips, clip over the edges. Just get your knife or a little scraper. If you've got any bits that need filling, just fill them up. All you have to do now is just dock the bottom. And there you go, all docked. All we need to do is now blind bake this. So you need some of these, they're baking beans. Best thing to do is put a piece of paper down and then cover that over with the beans. Bake it for around about 15 minutes, give or take. Once you've taken your paper off and everything, if you look around the edges, you can see the edges would have started to go brown a little bit. I wouldn't go any more than that. Some people say bake it for 25 minutes and bake it at 180 Celsius, and that'll be pretty much fine because you're going to re-bake this again for 25 minutes with the topping on, so you don't really need to bake it for such a long time. Otherwise the base will be like a brick and you don't really want that. And that's the important thing. It's important to always pre-bake, especially when you're at home. Now in the bakery, I'm lucky enough to got ovens that actually copes with baking the base at the same time. But at home, I've noticed my electric oven and even my sage oven don't like baking bases. And I just don't like raw pastry. Now, if you're topping ingredients, you want 185 grams of butter or margarine, 185 grams of ground almonds, 185 grams of egg, 185 grams of Castor sugar, and a splash of almond. So just drop that in now. Do that to your flavor, whatever you like. Now all we need to do is add in our sugar. Let's mix this round so it's all clear. Now do make sure your egg's warmed first because you don't want it curdling. Now just mix this round so it all clears. Unlike my other video, sieve the almonds if it's like this, because my almonds are quite lumpy. Just sieve that in. Just mix this round just to clear it all. A few little lumps in there. Just squash them out and that's it. So with the topping, all we need to do is pour this straight on top of the mincemeat and just let it flow out on its own. Now for baking this, your temperature wants to be 180 Celsius, fan assisted, and we're going to be baking it for 25 to 35 minutes. Right, we'll get straight into the oven. So what we're going to do first is get rid of all the edges. Now, when you're at home, you can just leave them on if you like, but I like to make them nice and neat. So we just trim off the edges first. Now for the topping, I'm actually using baker's fondant. I'll leave a recipe link down in the description. But if you haven't got white fondant, you can use icing sugar and water. It's 5 tablespoonfuls of water and around about 300-350 grams of icing sugar. So all we need to do is then cover this with icing. I'd recommend white fondant every time. Let's pour it onto the top. And then just spread it out. Now we'll just let that dry. And we'll come back and cut it up. And now the top's dried off, what we'll do is mark it up. So I want 10. And once again, get your knife, make sure it's wet. And then go straight down through. And if you wipe your knife off every time, it should be a nice clean cut. And then straight down the middle. So there we go, folks. Wasn't that nice and easy? Now sometimes that icing can be a little bit sticky when you're trying to cut up, but I was lucky enough with this time doing the Christmas ones, it's fine. Previously I've done one and the fondant wanted to play silly buggers and stick to it. Right, and this is what it looks like. This does look good. Let's have a nice little close-up. Got all that nice baked pastry. You got your mincemeat, then you've got your almond round and with your icing. And I can tell you now, that is going to taste absolutely lush. Hear that ringing? Yep. We better try some just in case. Yeah, so I got some with some mincemeat. If I vaguely remember last time, mincemeat was quite strong. You can taste the mincemeat coming through. It's got that lovely brandy flavour. That's lush. To be honest, because the mincemeat's so strong, you almost lose the flavour of the Bakewell altogether. But there again, once you put icing on as well, hey, what a combination that is. Well, there you go, folks. If you like this type of content, please subscribe and please share. And don't forget to check out the description, because that is where you're going to find your recipe. Also down there, you will find lots and lots of recipes that I've previously done. And we'll see you again very shortly on the Crazy Baker channel. Laters!